Welcome to another episode of Anime NT Podcast. I am the host, Kimberly. Last podcast, we kind of talked about the reason why we started all this, how it happened. So this time, we're just going to introduce our other members, in which the first episode covered our first 6. So these are the remaining ones. And I'll also be going over my introduction, what got me into anime as well. So you have an idea of basically how we started. Now, make sure you have that warm cup of tea ready to percolate so we can go over our cast. A little bit about myself to start off. I am currently drinking some nice warm coffee in the middle of the day. I know, what's wrong with me? I absolutely love coffee. I'm a coffee drinker, but when it comes to tea, I could also drink that. So I actually started watching anime as a kid, generally just like everyone else. Toonami was the go-to. I did start off watching Dragon Ball Z. Most of the time I actually watched it with my cousins and my brothers and sisters, so that one was the main one I watched. It did grow into a little bit of Sailor Moon, Inuyasha, Samurai Champloo, Gundam, but my ultimate favorite anime, I would say, is Digimon. I'm a huge Digimon fan, and compared to Pokemon, for some reason, I don't understand how people enjoy Pokemon a lot more. But Digimon wise, I have a couple figures, some manga, definitely DVDs. I even played the PlayStation game from it. So you could just say I'm the Digimon fan in the group. Um, just to kind of give you an idea of my life. So in high school, not many people were huge on anime for some reason. Not sure. I did hide my inner weeb a lot just because it was a lot of people were made fun of it, unfortunately. I'm really glad that this day and age it hasn't gone to that point. A lot of people are more wearing a lot of like merchandise from animes and are willing to talk about stuff. Even my nephew loves to talk about Naruto, and it really opens up my heart knowing that they will not get bullied for something that they enjoy. I did go to
But did you ever Naruto run down the
all the
hallway?
time. I mean, secretly though, of course, I have to have make sure the hallway was empty. But I would do it at conventions though, for sure.
It's mine, get away!
I did start going to conventions at 13, so I was really open to going to Colorado conventions in specific. My first one was actually the biggest one called Nandesukan, which is NDK here in Colorado. And it was amazing to see all these like craftsmanship of cosplays and people being able to talk about anime, and just being surrounded by that group of people has been amazing. I did start cosplaying at 15. My first cosplay ever was Black Star from Soul Eater. I did not make that costume. I did buy it because I didn't know better. I have zero.
There's nothing wrong with buying cosplays.
There isn't. As a 15-year-old, I'm like, I will work my butt off and I will just buy it because I have zero sewing skills, zero any skills at that point. As I did get
But do any photos exist?
funny enough, there is a photo on my Facebook of me being Black Star with Soul. So if you guys find my Facebook, you'll find it there for sure. um, but I think as I got older, though, I definitely put more emphasis on creating my own cosplays. Let me just say it wasn't easy. I had to learn from scratch. YouTube videos were my friend, and wigs are a pain. I would prefer buying a wig than ever making my own, honestly, because it's such a hassle with all the hair and then the teasing and then the hair spraying. I prefer buying it. I'm sorry. Forever will buy. Honestly, kudos to those people who can do it because I did not have the patience at all. You see one little piece of hair out of its place, I'd be like, I'm done. I'm done. I can't do this no more. It's like, ugh. But I mean, I guess I appreciate all of you making those wigs out there because I would not be able to do that. Well, as I got older, though, I did appreciate anime a lot more, and that's when I decided to make a podcast where I could just have a bunch of weebs where we could just talk about anything anime related with different backgrounds. And that's how Anime and Tea podcast was born. I still appreciate every single cast member, like being able to have the guts and put in the energy to actually make a podcast. Let me just say it's not easy. Scheduling conflicts, technical issues, so much can come up, but honestly, I enjoy it. It always brings a little smile to my face when I know I'm recording. So I appreciate everything. Enough about me. So we're going to go on to our next cast member, which is Caroline. Caroline, what's in your cup of tea?
So I'm actually, funny enough, drinking tea. I'm also a turncoat where I enjoy both tea and coffee. And I decided, as much as I love coffee, I decided to switch it up with tea for this afternoon. And I'm enjoying a nice Celestial Seasonings raspberry tea. And it's one of my favorites. It's not my all-time favorite, but I still love it nonetheless.
That sounds delicious, honestly.
I didn't even know there were factions. Tea drinkers versus coffee drinkers. Is this the same as Digimon versus Pokemon?
Oh yeah, no, it's
I thought there was collaboration entirely. But I didn't realize there was such a vicious.
Oh yeah, you could just mix it together, the coffee and the tea, just like there you go.
I mean, the argument for coffee is that it's just beans essentially in the form of tea, because you have the coffee bean that's being grounded up and everything, so it's no different than tea, but people get into wars and arguments about it. And then you've got Team Switzerland, which is the hot chocolate drinkers, and there's nothing wrong with that too. But yeah, I'm a turncoat. I enjoy both and anything, all the above. And oh man, I'm trying to figure out how old I was when I first started watching anime. I started when my grandmother introduced me to Studio Ghibli films, like My Neighbor Totoro, and I think I was like maybe 5 years old, maybe 6 years old, give or take. And then, in addition to that, started watching Sailor Moon on television. This was when it was actually aired on local television before it moved to Toonami. So, kind of dating myself a tiny bit, but not really. But anime's been a nice rock. It's been something that's always constant no matter what. Sailor Moon was technically my first anime. Studio Ghibli films started with My Neighbor Totoro, and kind of watched all of Miyazaki's films as I got older. And I kind of go for a lot of different genres. When it comes to the topic of Pokemon versus Digimon, I am also a turncoat because I like both equally. Game-wise, I kind of like the Pokemon game series a tiny bit more, but I haven't really had a lot of exposure to the Digimon games. But aside from that, I grew up watching Yu Yu Hakusho. I enjoyed a lot of Inuyasha, Rurouni Kenshin. I got into Toonami towards the later parts of middle school and into high school. And with that, I got to see a lot of different areas of anime and animation. Naruto was another one that I enjoyed as well. I did not actually Naruto at all in my high school, but Naruto run in any capacity. I've done it at a convention.
You still can.
It's
I
never
know.
too late.
There is still time.
Yeah, go back to your high school. Go Naruto run right now.
High school reunion.
It's the
Best
weekend
time.
and everybody's closed.
Perfect opportunity right there.
Every time a door closes and locks, a window is very breakable. For legal reasons, this is a joke.
Do not go to your high school. Do not get locked in, and do not break your high school's windows. But no, anime has always been a constant part of my life in one fashion or another. I at one point considered being an animator, but then I just got tired of it, mostly because of the drawing aspect, and I'm not very good at it. But aside from that, I think if I had to pick a favorite series, it would have to be me narrowing it down by each genre. For seinen, I'm a huge Hellsing fan. I still cry over Hellsing Ultimate because it's over, but that's neither here nor there.
Oh my gosh. Yes, I agree. I love Helsing too.
And then, in addition to loving anime, I also like manga. I also love to cosplay. I'm an adult and I have a very adult job, but I still enjoy my hobbies that I had when I was in middle and high school. I don't know how many manga I have at this point. I'd have to sit down and actually count, but I think we're probably close to 500 copies of something or 500 books.
That's substantial.
It's substantial and it's still growing, and it doesn't help that I work one day a week at a bookstore.
Oh yeah, that's dangerous.
I'm actually in the process of kind of moving, so I haven't actually unpacked everything as of yet. But there have been a few copies in the past where they had been damaged in some variety. I had a reputation in high school where I would lend my manga for other kids and classmates to borrow and read. I even had one of them confiscated by a teacher and had to wait until after lunch in order to pick it up. By the way, that was a copy of Yu Yu Hakusho because that was a wonderful manga that was going on at the same time while the anime was being aired.
You're so trustworthy. I would not trust any high schooler borrowing any of my manga. I'd be like, no, you're going to steal coffee.
I learned a hard lesson when I got a Hellsing Volume 4 damaged. I could have understood if it was just a paper cut because that was what I was told. My thought was, hey, it's a vampire, and if there's a paper cut on the manga, it's like, ooh, blood. That's fun. But about 20 pages in, there were highlight marks, and yeah. Yeah, no.
That's a villain origin story.
No, I mean, I'm kind of going through my villain arc, but I've always been going through my villain arc. Debatable? Question mark.
Perfect.
But no, I learned a lesson. That's when I started doing contracts, and people thought I was crazy for having contracts for borrowing books and everything.
So you became a library.
Yeah, I became a walking library, more or less.
Yes, a traveling library, for sure.
And then... And yeah, that's about it. I mean, I will admit I have an extensive backlog with anime that I still need to watch, but I've slowly been gradually watching more of the newer stuff that's come out in the last few years. And I also have been kind of trying to get up to date with manga and light novels that have been released in the last 5 years, give or take.
What's your favorite Studio Ghibli movie?
Oh.
There is a correct answer to this, by the way.
There is a correct answer to this?
There absolutely is a correct answer.
Oh, God. I'm going to have to... This is going to be controversial, but I'm going to have to go with the original dubbing for My Neighbor Totoro, not the one that was done with... when Disney redubbed it with the Fanning sisters, but the one before that. And I think that's mostly because of the nostalgia. I think that was done through Streamline, was the company.
That's correct enough.
Correct enough.
The correct answer is... Look, the real correct answer was the friends we made along the way. That's how it is. The correct answer... I just wanted to add some tension. Give it some stakes, you know?
Oh, man. Like, now I'm curious if, you answer any question, if Dano's going to straight up, there's only one answer. You better be right.
I mean, if we want to go in an academic sense when it comes to scholars writing about anime and manga and everything, the correct answer would be Princess Mononoke.
That's the second.
Why? I don't disagree. But I don't know. Maybe I just don't understand it enough to...
It's mostly from a scholarly standpoint. It's based more around the depictions of the role, not necessarily the role of women, but kind of the depictions for the feudal era and all of the messages that are talked about in Princess Mononoke. And then you also have where San defies the ideas about the ideal Japanese woman, even though it's a period piece, and it's mostly because of the fact that she was separated from her family or humanity and grew up with spirits and all of that. But then you also have Eboshi, who kind of defies expectations as well for women of that time, but at the same time embracing the warrior woman aspect of stuff.
This is also a correct answer. They're all correct answers. Let's be real.
I mean, it's always hard to pick, but I have to go with nostalgia, and that's why I'm going with My Neighbor Totoro.
Honestly, when people always ask me the question, which one's your favorite? I'm like, can it not be all? Like, is there... I mean, like, one of the ones that I would say would be the least is probably the raccoon one. I don't know what was going on there. I like the message. I don't know what was going on there. Was there anything else you would like to add a little bit about yourself, Caroline?
Aside from that, I am also a cosplayer. I've kind of lost track of how many years I've been cosplaying. It's been kind of on again, off again, especially with the pandemic in the last few years. However, I've done all sorts of stuff from thrifting to making a cosplay by hand. I am very old school and work with a World War II sewing machine and a 50s sewing machine, so I don't have anything fancy or new, because those machines kind of intimidate me.
What would you say has been your most impressive cosplay?
I would probably say, in regards to that, it would probably be Murray Mjolnir from Soul Eater. I actually took the time to make her kind of a mid-transformation sequence. So in the anime, there's a moment, because she's a weapon from the universe, and she turns into a hammer and has thunder energy. So what I did was I made a giant hammer prop out of pink foam and made it look exactly like hers, but it was mostly hollow on the inside, and I put a dowel in between before sealing it completely. So essentially, I take my hand, reach through that hole and hold the dowel up, and then kind of make it look like it's a mid-transformation sequence. It's now currently an end table. That's how big it is.
Did you do competition as well?
I did. I actually started competing in cosplay competitions in 2010, and I've also judged contests as well through Colorado Anime Fest. My first anime convention was Non-Descon, and I'm pretty sure this is where it's kind of a debate between my grandmother and I, but we're pretty sure the first time we both went to NDK was 2004, give or take. And that was when I was in high school. And initially, like I said, my grandmother introduced me to anime and animation. So it was essentially me, my grandmother, and my great uncle all going down to an anime convention for the very first time on a Sunday. And there wasn't a lot of people in cosplay then at that point, but we were walking around and we saw this woman who had a baby with her, and she had just gotten out of the hospital and was in a cosplay, and the baby was like maybe a week old, give or take. And my grandmother said, "There's the youngest person at this convention, and I am the oldest person at this convention." And we're in the same room, so yay.
That's crazy, though, to imagine someone just gave birth and they're like, to the anime convention.
They do say start them young.
Well, thank you so much, Caroline. It was great to know a little bit about yourself. All right, and we are back from our mini break. Like I mentioned, we will be turning it over to our next cast member, Mark. Mark, what is in your cup?
I have a big old tall glass of water with me today.
Gotta keep that hydration going.
I decided to take out the leaves from my tea, and I think it's doing pretty good so far.
What is it, like H2O leaves or something?
Yeah.
Tea, but
Plain tea, no flavor added.
Lukewarm.
And Mark, tell us a little bit of what got you into anime.
Probably, it's kind of hard to say what got me into it because my entire life, my cousins were super big into anime. I couldn't even tell you when I started watching it on my own. I know me and my sister watched Pokemon and like Sailor Moon and then the standard stuff, but my cousins would watch like Dragon Ball, Inuyasha, and all that stuff, and I was exposed to it very young. It wasn't until I got really into like big the cartoons like Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon, all that, where I started drifting off to other things, and then I would start watching WB, and then in WB they had One Piece, the infamous 4Kids dub of One Piece. I would say that would probably be the worst introduction to One Piece, saying now, but
For the uninitiated, can you describe a couple of things about the infamous dub?
the opening, the One Piece rap is a pretty good one.
That's probably the only thing I like about it.
That's what I was looking for, baby.
If people want an introduction to
Do
it,
you know it? Can you rap it?
Huh?
Can you do it? Can you do it? Do you?
Oh
remember
yeah,
it?
I remember. I'm not doing it now. We'll do it later. I'll do it on a different one.
I'll do it with you
subscribers
later.
only.
How does that sound?
That'll be our new intro
Okay.
song. How about that?
Just the entire thing.
I gotta say though, Mark, I remember when you're like, you should really watch One Piece, and I'm just like, oh Lord, like, and somehow in my mind I'm like, I've watched through all of Naruto, which is about 896 episodes or something around that range, and yet like One Piece is still going, and I'm like, how the heck would I ever catch up to that?
Well, Naruto's still going.
almost
It's
over.
just skipping generations now. First you have Naruto, and then Naruto's cousin, and then you go down to Naruto's dad, then Naruto's son, and then Naruto's son's dad.
It just goes in circles.
Naruto's son's dad. That always cracks me up when it doesn't matter. That's one of those jokes that never gets old. I love that. It speaks to the disdain that people have for anything that is not OG or Shippuden.
I think I don't even remember when I got into Naruto as well. I'm a huge just shonen person. Because without even realizing what Shippuden was, I've watched Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, One Piece, and then later on when Cartoon Network had like Bleach towards their end of their thing, and then I found out what Toonami was. And then I was so excited to watch just any of the anime on Toonami. I always remember just being annoyed by seeing King of the Hill on right before Inuyasha, or just waking up from just the King of the Hill just to get the intro for Inuyasha.
It was such whiplash.
Yeah.
King of the Hill
It was beautiful
into
whiplash.
Inuyasha.
But now I definitely think I'm more into the manga scene than I am in the anime. I think recently...
One of us.
Is your library as extensive as
No,
Caroline's?
no way. I wish. I turn around and I'm like looking at like...
The dog disagrees.
I have probably like 40 something volumes of different things. I have the entirety of Soul Eater, the Dot Hacks, Higurashi. I think I also have Blue Exorcist, but I haven't read them all yet.
Not gonna lie, I'm kind of jealous, Mark.
Blue Exorcist.
That he has room.
No, just having the dot hack and the the Higurashi, because I kind of find that hard to find nowadays.
Yeah, the Higurashi it's incomplete, but I do have scraps of them.
I think I remember you were talking about finding the dot hack games or something like that. Was I wrong?
I'm sorry, I missed that.
I think I remember there was one time we were looking for a dot hack game, or was it like a dot hack DVD? I forgot.
Oh, yeah. We were at just some show. Oh no, it was at an anime convention. They were selling just a bunch of video games. I ended up finding a dot hack, and I'm looking for the collection of the original dot hack series, and they're selling them for like $300 or $400 a piece.
Yep. That doesn't surprise me.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Totally worth it though.
Mm-hmm.
Is it though?
It is.
That's a lot of
I
scratch.
mean, it was like the first SAO, I believe.
SAO, but better.
Yeah, SAO, but better.
Yeah, we're gonna have some spicy takes when it comes to SAO.
This could be an episode. We could debate this.
Like SAO, but good describes every other isekai.
I'm still somewhat a fan of it, so I'm not gonna make it sound bad, but it was still somewhat good to me.
I still haven't finished it. I gave it the 3-episode rule.
Oh, there's a rule. I'm more like I'll watch it.
Supposedly.
I'll watch some episodes. If it's worth my time, I'll go back to it and finish it. Hopefully. Now, Mark, I know. Have you ever attended an anime convention before the one I like forcibly was like, go with me or else?
It is true. I can confirm this. I have statements. I have not been to an anime convention, but I have been to a convention before.
So after I took you, you were like, this is my first anime convention that you went to.
Yeah, it was the first. Yeah, it was the first anime convention. The first convention I've ever been to was a tool convention for construction.
How fun.
Vastly different. Just people in general.
Yeah, not as many lewd pillows being sold at a tool.
The same amount of furries, though.
No
it was
waifu
very
pillows.
weird.
Same amount of furries.
Belts. So like I've always been curious. What was like your first thought going to an anime convention?
Yeah, I never realized how many people were that into anime before. That's like me and Kim went to high school before, and there really wasn't too many people that were into anime. There was very few. And so just like going from that to just like crowds and so many people, just everyone just come joining together to with the same interest was like very like shock and awe to me.
I can agree with that. That's kind of how I felt going to my first convention.
It's a great feeling though to have just like a crowd of people who have the same interest in what you have interest in.
Yeah, it's kind of validating. Like, oh, I guess I'm not that weird. Or if I am, it's okay because everyone else is that weird too.
Or seeing the cosplays. Oh my god, I still fangirl. I shouldn't lie about that. But anytime I see like someone cosplay one of my favorite characters, I'm like, I need to take a picture of you with like cute pose for me, do something cool.
Same here.
They know what they signed up for. When those cosplayers are like, I'm going to do this character.
They know.
They know they're
yeah,
going to
they
get
know.
asked.
But like being 13 and going to a convention, I'm like, how do I ask? Like, what should I just like walk up and like poke at them or something? Maybe they'll understand.
You just stand there and look at them and hope that they receive the telepathic waves that you're sending them. There is a decorum to it, and yeah, it's one of those things that you just kind of learn right away, huh?
I guess so.
Maybe I missed it. Mark, what was the first convention that you went to?
It was a non-desu.
Non-Descon?
Yeah, NDK. I did find the tag. It was 2014.
Oh, wow.
Just recently. Yeah.
And even back then, there were thousands of people.
I know.
Mm-hmm.
Now more so, but even back then, there's thousands.
But I gotta say, like, out of all the venues that NDK has gone to, I think DTC was one of the best, for sure.
Say that again?
Out of all the venues that NDK has, like, rented out, I like DTC just because the hotels were so close.
Mm-hmm.
And even though the hotel itself that it was, like, had the convention at, I would probably never rent one of those. They were so tiny, and they didn't have a free breakfast. Like, who does that? Come on. We need one meal to be free for us.
Mm-hmm.
But it was nice because, like, everything was somewhat together. And I like that it wasn't as big as it is now, where it's like $500 just to rent one room for one night. Ugh, I hate that.
We're going to have an entire episode or several devoted to conventions, and yeah, NDK is really deserving of its own feature for reasons. And I won't say any more than that.
This will definitely be
Stay
one of those
tuned.
future episodes. So, yeah. Mark, was there anything else you would like us to know about you?
No, who are you people?
Who are you people? We're total strangers. Not like I had class with you.
How did I
How did I get here?
I met you all on the internet. That's not new.
Well, Mark, thank you so much for giving us a little bit of your background.
Yo! Don't give it up, Lupe. Don't give it up, Solo. Don't give it up now, baby. Don't give it up, give it up, give it up, give it up, give it up. Here's how the story goes. We find out about a treasure in the Grand Line. There's no doubt.
Next, we will be taking it to Dano. Dano, what's in your cup?
My cup is full of some of the grossest protein shake I've had in a while. I tried to get creative with it, with adding a bunch of frozen fruits and vegetables, and it turned out tasting like mulch. So I have ruined my wonderful Mass Effect mug with some of the grossest protein shake ever to have existed on this
Can you
planet.
tell me what the brand is so I don't buy it?
Oh, I made it.
Oh,
I made
okay.
it myself. It is I try really hard to come up with something that's like, oh yeah, this is totally gonna work. I'm a wizard in the kitchen. This will totally taste fine. No, it tastes like dirt and mulch. But it is effective. It is my protein delivery mechanism, so it doesn't have to taste good.
Well,
Just has to not make me
future
vomit.
notice, never get protein shakes from Dano, especially if he makes it.
I'm gonna trade notes with Colin and his kombucha bowl, which I think it was kombucha and Red Bull. So maybe we can throw some protein powder into that.
Already bad idea. Horrible idea.
This is not tea anymore. This is just cup abominations.
Creations of
Welcome to Cup of Hell.
yeah, just creations of hell from drinks. Well, give us a little bit of your background, Dano.
So I am a Puerto Rican, elder millennial. I'm half Puerto Rican, which means I have all the distinction of having gone to Puerto Rico several times, but none of the talent of speaking Spanish. My Spanish is terrible. I am originally a person who went to school to be a voice actor and wound up fixing a printer at a job interview one time. So now I'm an engineer. That's just kind of how it tracks. I don't know how it happens. I just go with the
Amazing.
punches.
From voice actor to a printer mechanic.
Just
something.
Who knows? I don't even know what I do half the time. I don't know what I want to be when I grow up. I can tell you this much though. When it comes to anime and manga, the stories that people have been telling so far are a lot of them are remarkably familiar, not just within each other, but also for me. I mean, I also kind of had this Toonami thing growing up and everything. My first one was Samurai Pizza Cats, which was from it was one of those like 5 a.m. before the real Saturday morning cartoons came on. I don't even know if you can qualify Samurai Pizza Cats as an anime, but I'm going to.
I would say it
because-
qualifies because at one point Yu Yu Hakusho was in the same position where it was aired at like 5 a.m. before cartoons would be aired on Cartoon Network.
So yeah, that counts. The thing that that I want to highlight though is that where everyone else that has introduced themselves so far has been kind of embracing that or not falling into the trap of hiding it, I fell into that trap where in high school I was the guy who made fun of the Naruto runner. Even
How
though I was
could
not.
you? My favorite.
I was the great betrayer. I hid it. And I didn't tell anybody that I watched it. Both of my parents worked long into the evening, so I would watch Toonami by myself and then I would actually change the channel to something else and then something else. So then when they hit the recall button, they wouldn't see that I was watching Toonami. That's the lengths that teenage Dano would go to prevent people from knowing that he would watch
I
anime.
did the same thing, but with Spike TV.
It was. I'm not particularly proud of it, but I'm going to be honest about my journey into this.
And honesty is the best policy.
The thing that kind of reinforced that was that kind of social perception. Like I didn't need to be cool, but I also didn't. I was afraid, and a lot of other people took that differently. But I was self-admittedly a coward about it. That's the textbook definition of one. And I was also pretty much a casual watcher. I wasn't anything more beyond Toonami or things like that. But I did love what I watched. I just had to love it secretly, or so I thought. And I went to college, and same thing, just kind of kept it under the radar until somebody showed me the fan subs of Bleach. And I went all in on those Dateibayo fan subs where I would wait every week for a new torrent to download and like, especially when they switched from 480p to 720p, I was like, oh my God, this is the coolest thing ever. And something in me just kind of clicked. This idea that it didn't have to be a mutually exclusive thing, that I could still like anime and publicly like it and tell people that I like it and be excited about it and still be whatever other person I wanted to be. It didn't have to be a single dimension. And that was pretty much a game changer for me. I'm a big, especially in recent years, I'm a big fitness guy. I go to the gym 6 days a week. I work out a lot. I love watching NFL. And one of my favorite things now is this crossover between fitness and anime, where there's actually an outfit in Denver, I want to say, called UKO, and they make a pre-workout that is Jujutsu Kaisen based.
Oh, I've heard
that
this.
is
Yeah.
fantastic.
Oh my God.
So I have to ask,
Uh,
have you seen Ice Shield 21?
No, I have not.
I think you...
Because I'm still sort of a casual watcher.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to find time, but the things that I do enjoy, I just dive into.
I think you'll appreciate it because it's a football anime.
Oh, that's fantastic. I love, and I am not a Colorado native, not by a long shot. My favorite team is the Seattle Seahawks, and there's a running back on the Seattle Seahawks, Travis Homer. His touchdown celebration is the Attack on Titan salute. And that's like, it's a wonderful thing to have this acceptance, because it's something that I did not have. Not only did I not have it, I actively worked against it. I was an agent of opposition. Again, not proud of it, but I was, and I'll own it. And I think the best thing that I can do now is be a member of a community that welcomes it, so that other people don't have to feel like they have to hide it. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. The other thing I want to mention too, less sports related, but more just kind of this idea of crossover thing, is I didn't start cosplaying until I was 30. I've been going to conventions for a long time, since probably 2000, maybe, I don't know what constitutes a long time, but I guess since like 2012, 2013. My very first one was New York Comic Con, which was pretty cool. And I've been
About that
going
one.
to. Sorry.
I've heard good things about New York Comic Con.
Oh yeah, New York Comic Con is very well organized, and it never seems too packed. But I don't know. I haven't gone in a few years. Anime Expo this year they actually shut down people walking in because it's something like 100,000 people in attendance, and it became a trample
God.
hazard. So they were like, "No, everybody who just went in, you got to go a little bit further so we can let other people in the door." But my point with conventions was that one of my favorite things to do now is I travel the country a lot. I do panels, and this is like some people have a country club membership, some people have a boat. My stupid expensive hobby is traveling the country and going to conventions and ideally giving panels at them. I give a panel on communication and anime or communication in video games. And one of my favorite things to do is on the Friday mornings, the Saturday mornings, get up early, go to the gym, and see who from the hotel gym, see who from the convention is there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a great way to make friends. Like, oh, you like fitness and anime? I liken it to this. If you go to a concert and you're wearing a t-shirt of the band that's playing, that's all well and good. Do you? But I know nothing else about you. But if you're wearing a different band or something else completely unrelated, I can be like, oh, you like this and this. Now I have a way to relate to you in a couple of different ways, and we can be friends.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. I mean, I don't go to the gym that early in the morning. I usually wake up to eat early breakfast from the hotel before they close it.
Depending on if the convention is a party convention or not, early at the gym can be anywhere from 6 a.m. to
Oh my
noon.
God.
Mm-hmm.
You will not see me at that time.
Pre-workout. Pre-workout is a kind of effective hangover remedy. I wouldn't recommend it in huge doses, but yeah, it has definitely helped me.
So, since you've gone to you probably have gone to more conventions than anyone in our cast members. Is there a specific one where you'd be like, this was probably the best out of all of them?
For anime conventions, give me a hot second here.
Tough question.
My favorite convention, period, is MagFest, Music and Games Fest. That actually just happened 2 weekends ago in Washington, D.C. It's like the first weekend after the first of the year. That one's less anime. It's all video game stuff. There's anime present, but it's a primary focus on video games. I think my favorite anime convention has been Anime Central in Chicago, and it's bonkers how much fun that convention is, and what a lot of other conventions that maybe are run in Colorado can learn from. Just saying.
If they ever
Is that
listen.
geared up in Detroit?
Yeah.
If they ever listen.
If they ever listen.
The thing that I like about Anime Central is it's extremely accessible. There's not a lot of barriers between. I mean, it's a lot of walking, like a lot of conventions, but there aren't a whole lot of velvet ropes, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to go, if there's a guest of the convention and they say, "Oh yeah, I'm going to be at this booth," you just go and you meet them there at that booth. And there's sure if it's like an autograph signing, there might be a line, but everybody is there to have fun and have a good time, and it doesn't feel exclusive.
That kind of sounds a lot like Colorado Anime Fest this last year.
I've heard good things about Colorado Anime Fest. I have yet to go, but that's definitely on the list for this year.
You have to go. You're in the panel with us. Just kidding.
You have a panel?
We
We
might.
might. We'll know in a
Yes.
few weeks, and I think I need to submit my panel for that too, just in case.
I need to submit mine too.
Look at
But
that.
let me know.
A few
But-
members already.
Look at that. See, this is what it means to be a good part of the community. You don't have to be a perfect member, but do something and help other people. Do what you can.
Now, since you cosplayed when you were 30, what was your first cosplay?
My very first cosplay was the absolute worst Badman Vegeta. My cosplay ethos is like a closet cosplay where, hey, if you recognize the character, they're like, oh, you're Badman Vegeta. And if you don't recognize the character, I'm just a douchebag in yellow chinos. Like,
Oh my gosh. uh,
and the letters and everything, it was so bad. It was comically bad. But I loved it. And since then I like most of the cosplays that I do now are they're all closet. Like I love doing Leorio from Hunter x Hunter because it's just a blue suit. You take that same blue suit and you change out the teal tie for a red tie, and you're Phoenix Wright. I just did Mario because all it is a red T-shirt and some overalls. But what I wound up doing was I wound up going on Amazon and like to find the overalls that I wanted. I typed in slutty overalls for men. Because my gimmick was I wanted to be himbo Mario.
but I feel like those are also good cosplays. You know, you don't have to look exactly like that character, but you can always do a spin on it and people would still recognize you.
Agreed.
Right. It's all about the craft that you want to make. And the craft that you want to make doesn't necessarily have to be a one-to-one recreation of what's already out there. I'm a huge fan of people that take it and make it their own.
Like I remember NDK last year there was a trash waifu. That was freaking hilarious. Like I was like, this is the best cosplay anyone thought of. Like perfect right there. Oh man. They were just getting pictures.
There was someone there was someone at a convention I just saw. They were the to be continued arrow from JoJo. Like
Oh my god, that's beautiful.
they just made a cosplay that like it was. I want to say maybe it started off as a Crayola crayon, and they just made a whole bunch of modifications to it, so then it looked like the to be continued arrow. And they would just lie on the ground with other cosplays while they posed, and it was like,
And that right there is like, even though it's not like a character or anything, it's like it's perfect because those who recognize it from the anime, you're like, oh my god, like why couldn't I think of that? Because it's so hilarious.
Yeah, big fan of people exploring the craft how they want to explore it. It's a lot of fun, and I feel bad for ever not being not just not being a part of it, but for not being like a supporter of it. And maybe it's a snap overcorrection now, but I'm really happy with supporting people who are getting into this craft at whatever age and at whatever expertise and you know at whatever level of enthusiasm. Like be the weirdo you want to be.
Yeah, and I think that was just something I really do want in a podcast. I tried to do it with my friend, but I was like, I feel like I need to connect more with more people than just me and it was me and Mark, actually, funny enough. We tried to start our own podcast and I was just like, I feel like I need more people who have
you need a gym bro.
Yes, I just needed a variety of like different backgrounds to be able to connect in an anime community, and it's great to have that because we can always talk about conventions or cosplays or just anime, manga, video games. Like there's such a huge variety that it's perfect to be able to just talk about it with everyone. Was there anything else you wanted to add?
No, I guess that's it. The entirety of the reason that I got into cosplay was fitness related because I didn't want to do Badman Vegeta with tiny biceps.
Honestly, I'm trying to get into like the fitness anime community. I just got a personal trainer because I'm like, I want to be buff like Maki and just cosplay as her and be like, oh,
Nice.
look at my muscles.
Chef kiss.
So we'll see how that goes because I only have her for 6 months and I'm like, holy crap, I gotta get to that in 6 months. We'll see. I'm surprised, honestly. I did not think you would be one of those people. Well, like how different you were from like high school till now, because you seem like so open to everything. It's kind of, I'm like, you telling me this is so weird.
Aha! You thought it was someone else, but it was me, Dano. It's all part of the process, and I think that one of the things I learned that is applicable to anime or making a podcast or cosplay is it's never too late to start. I didn't really start to take ownership of the kinds of things that I wanted to do until I was basically almost 30. And now I'm doing it and I love it. It's a great thing to be a part of.
Well, I'm glad. I'm glad that you're a part of it.
And I'll try not to betray anyone ever again.
We'll try. I don't know. He might be one of those villains that are like, I will be your friend. JK backstab.
I'm not wearing the glasses, so I can't do the glasses push up. Uh-huh.
And have the light reflecting in the glasses at the right moment.
I love that.
Mm-hmm. The Eisen thing, all according to
I do need to see you in a Leorio cosplay, though. I do not see many of those.
Oh, I have pictures. I definitely have pictures of that, but it's not exactly true to life because I'm only 5'6", so and Leora's like 6'2".
I'm like 4'11",
okay.
and I cosplay like men, even though everyone's.
I just stand next to my very short friend, and then it's like, that totally works.
All right. Well, it looks like we are missing one more person right now, but we will record them separately and have a little interview with them. But thank you so much for listening to this episode with Introduction Part 2 with us, Anime Tea Podcast. If you would like, you can subscribe to listen to more of our episodes on any platform. It should be Spotify, Apple TV. Oh, I wish. Anyway, iTunes. We also have different types of medias. We have Facebook, which our Facebook page is anime.tpodcast. We have a Twitter, which is anime.tpod. And then also an Instagram, which is anime.tpodcast. And our YouTube page, which is anime.t.podcast. So a little bit different, but you can always look at our Buzzsprout account, which all of them are linked in. We also have a TikTok that's anime.tpodcast. And also with that, I believe I'm missing one. Oh, our Patreon. Our Patreon. You can also follow us on that. Any donations would be great. We are trying to get into more panels and conventions so we could play little mini games. Like we mentioned earlier, we are trying to get on Colorado Anime Fest, so hopefully we get in, fingers crossed. Was there anything else any of you wanted to chime in?
Cap raises are free, and you could be doing them right now. I'm just saying, Saitama does not skip.
He does not.
This is true.
This is true. And then tell us a little bit about yourself. We do have an email address that you can share your stories at, which is anime.tpodcast@gmail.com. Our next episode, we are going to talk about new animes that we are watching, as well as ones we are willing to recommend, which ones we don't recommend. It is within a year, so it's not like super recent, but if you have any anime recommendations, last episode, I believe, Mara mentioned Ajin, and I actually started watching it. It was not bad, but slowly getting there. But we're more than willing to open up to any new anime suggestions that you guys have. So send us your stories, try to kind of communicate with us on any episodes. So we will read out loud some of the responses on some episodes if we have time, right? Well,